when we are getting up in the morning, when we're going swimming, when we're changing for PE in school, when we're going to the gym, any time that we are changing our clothes, we use so much energy and we use so much awareness of where our body is. We have to balance, we have to coordinate our muscles and our limbs and our body to be able to do that. It's not something that's easy, but we might take that for granted a lot of the time. In the last setting that I used to work in, I might recognise that some of the children would become really exhausted after we'd changed their clothes, or even if we'd just put on a coat or put on their shoes. It's quite a tiring activity to do, to be able to change clothes, and I think it's something that we really need to try and just be aware of when we are in those situations. If we're wondering, why are they suddenly sitting down? Why do they suddenly seem really tired? Why are they yawning? Now, most of the time this is relating to people who are hyposensitive, so they have a really high threshold. They need a lot of information from a sensory system to recognise it. So hyposensitive to proprioception, so the awareness of where my body is in space. I need that to be able to get dressed. I need to know where my feet are, but I also need to be able to take my sock that it's in my hand down to my feet to be able to do that. I need to be really aware of where my body is. But also vestibular sensation. So my movement in relationship to gravity, my sense of balance, and that's modulated in our heads between our ears. There's liquid that moves around, and that flowing of the liquid gives us this awareness of movement and balance. So I need my vestibular sense to be able to put on my socks, to be able to put on my jumper, maybe without falling over or without feeling sick or dizzy. So if I've got a really high threshold, if I'm hyposensitive to proprioception, my body awareness, and vestibular, I need lots of stimulation to be aware of where that body part is or whatever I'm doing. So getting dressed, I'm doing a lot of activities which are giving me that awareness, but before I do that I might need some awakening. I might need some opportunities to help myself be aware of where my feet are, where my legs are, where my arms are, where my head is, so that I can do that activity easier. If I just go ahead and get dressed, I'm using all of my concentration, all of my body awareness, all of my balance, all of my processing just to focus on the activity of getting dressed. So if I'm if I've got really high threshold, I'm putting in lots and lots of energy and input to give myself enough sensations to be able to get dressed. So if we're exerting ourselves, if we're putting in a lot of focus on 2 or more of our sensory systems, we're going to get exhausted, we're going to get tired. So we need to be able to recognise that and to compensate that into then the activity we're going to follow on and do.